Hello students, welcome to the 6th session of Database Management System Unit 2, that is Data Modeling using ER model. In the previous session, we have learned what is a recursive relationship, what is relationship role, what is attributes of a relationship, and also cardinality ratio. Right. In today's session, we are going to see participation constraints and also types of entity. Let's start with participation constraints. See, participation constraint, it is nothing but it specifies the number of instances of an entity that can participate in a relationship type. Remember, in the previous session, I have explained the cardinality ratio. There we were discussing about cardinality ratio specifies the maximum number of instances participating in a relationship. Right? See, that cardinality ratio specifies what is the maximum number of entity instances are going to participate in a relationship. That is, one instance or more than one instance. That's where we were having one to one cardinality ratio, one to many cardinality ratio, many to one cardinality ratio, and many to many cardinality ratio. There we were talking about the maximum instance of an entity type is participating, right? So here, with a slight difference, here we are talking about the participation constraints. This specifies the number of instances of an entity that can participate in a relationship. See, don't get confused with the maximum number of instances and here the number of instances. So here the number of instances, in the sense, this participation constraint specifies whether all the instances of an entity type are participating in a relationship or only a partial or only a few instances of an entity type is participating. There are only two cases, whether all the entities are participating or only few entities are participating. Okay, that is participation constraint. So based on this only, this participation constraint has been divided into two types. One is total participation, another one is partial participation. Okay, so let's see what is total participation. See, here I have taken an example of person has license. See, here we are having two entity types, that is person and license. What is the relationship type here is has. Okay. So here person has license. What is the cardinality ratio here is 1:1. That means one person must have one license. Right. Consider we are talking about the driving license. One person can have only one license, right? One person cannot have two licenses. So here one person can have one license. That is, maximum one entity can participate in a has relationship and maximum one entity from license can participate. Okay, so that is 1:1. That is a cardinality ratio. But here we are talking about what is total participation. See here, in person entity type, assume there are 10 person entity. And here not all the person can have a license. Okay, some may be below 18 and they may have not got the license, and some may be above 18 but still they have not applied for the license. That means here it is not mandatory that all the entity in a person entity type must have a license, right? So here this in this person entity type, not all the person has a license, whereas in this license entity type, whatever the instance are there, each instance must belong to some person, right? So that is here the total participation comes into picture. Okay, let's see in detail. See here we are having person entity type. So here we are totally having 10 person instance. Okay. The entity type is person and person instances are 10. We are having 10 instances of person type. Okay, that means we can call it as 10 entity of person entity type. And here we are having license entity type. In that we are having only 4 entities of license entity type. Okay. So here, see, out of 10 person, only 4 person has license. Remaining P2, P3, P5, P6, P7, P9, these people are not having the license. Okay, that means here not all the entities are participating in has relationship. Okay, whereas in this side, see, we are having 4 entity instances, L1, L2, L3, L4. There are 4 licenses and all the entities are participating in a has relationship. Okay, understood. So here all the entities of a license entity type is participating in a has relationship. That's why here the participation constraints of license entity type is total participation. Okay. Then what about this person? Here not all the entities are participating. Only few entities are participating in has relationship, right? So this is called as partial participation. So in this has relationship, license is totally participating in has relationship, whereas person is partially participating in has relationship. Okay, let's see partial participation with one more example. See here, person guides student. Here we have taken two entities, two entity types. Okay, one is a professor, another one is a student. Okay, so here every person, see here in this side, see here we are also mentioning the cardinality ratio 1 is to n. That means one person teaches n number of student. See here there is no 1 is to 1. One person teaches one student. No, it's wrong, right? One person can teach or guide more than one student. That's why here the cardinality ratio is 1 is to n. This tells us the maximum number of instances can participate in a relationship guide. Okay, so one person can has n number of students or one person can guide n number of student. That is the cardinality ratio. If we talk about the participation constraints, then here, see, all the students must have a professor, right, for guidance. So all the students are participating in guides relationship. Okay, so here it is a total participation. See, here it is a total participation. Whereas not all the professors guide the students. Only few professors can guide the students, right? So that's why here it is a partial participation. Okay, let me explain with the instance diagram. See here the same thing with the instance diagram. See here we are having professor and students entity type. In professor we are having only 4 entities, P1, P2, P3, P4. That means we are having 4 professors. And this guide relationship has only 2 relationship set, that is R1 and R2. Okay. And then this student entity type is having 10 students. See here, P1 guides S1, S2, S3, S4. That means 1 is to n cardinality ratio. P3 guides 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 students. That is 1 is to, see here it is 1 is to m. Here also it is 1 is to m, right? The cardinality ratio is 1 to many. Whereas the participation constraint is from professor side it is a partial because not all the professors are participating, right? Only 2 professors are participating. That's why here it is partial participation. Whereas here all the students are participating, right? So that's why it is a total participation. Okay. So no student can be there. No student can exist in this student entity type without the guidance of a professor, right? So that is the meaning here. So student entity type is totally participating in guide relationship, whereas professor entity type is partially participating in a guide relationship. Okay, I think you have understood. Let's see our next topic. Okay, types of entity. See here, based on the existence dependency. Existence dependency. Okay, I think you know what is existence. So based on the existence dependency, the entity is divided into 2 types, strong entity and weak entity. What is existence dependency? That means in order to exist, it depends on some other entity. For example, here, see here I have given example. Strong entity. Example, employee and department. See, department entity, for the existence, it does not depend on any other entity. So it is the strong entity. And employee entity. Employee entity also does not depend on any other entity for its existence. Okay, that's why it is also a strong entity. Whereas if we talk about dependent entity, then it is a weak entity. That means the existence of dependent is based on, or it is dependent on, the employee entity. That's why it is a weak entity. Okay, see, when there are 10 employees are working in a company, then all the 10 employee may not have a dependent. Okay, but if there is a dependent data or dependent entity type, then whatever the dependent data stored in the dependent entity, that must have an employee, right? So this dependent entity is existence dependence on employee. ಓಕೆ, ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ ತಾನೇ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಎಂಟಿಟಿ ಏನಿದೆ, ಇಟ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿ ಎಂಟಿಟಿ. ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ವೀಕ್ ಎಂಟಿಟಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆನ್ಸಿ. ನೀನು ಇರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನೀನು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಯು ಆರ್ ಅ ವೀಕ್ ಎಂಟಿಟಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರು ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲದೇ ನೀನು ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತೀಯಾ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಎಂಟಿಟಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್? ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಸಿ ಅನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿಸ್. ಸಿ ಹಿಯರ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಬಾರೋಸ್ ಲೋನ್. ಸಿ ಹಿಯರ್, ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ತಾನೆ. ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕು. ಸೊ here customer is a strong entity. And customer ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ we should have a customer ID. Why we should have a customer ID? In order to identify each customer uniquely. So remember, I have explained key attributes. That is what the attribute used to identify a particular entity in a entity type, right? So here customer has customer ID, which is a key attribute of customer entity type. Okay, so this customer is a strong entity because even though this loan does not exist, customer exists, right? ಈಗ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಲ್ಲಿ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ನು ಲೋನ್ ತೊಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಬಿಡಲಿ, ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಅಂತೂ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ ತಾನೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಎಂಟಿಟಿ, ವೆರಾಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಲೋನ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ವೀಕ್ ಎಂಟಿಟಿ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಸಿ, here we don't have any key attributes for loan. If this customer takes a loan, then that customer ID will be presented here in order to identify that loan. So no need of a key attributes in this loan. Okay, are you getting? Okay, so that's why this loan is completely dependent on the customer. Customer idre matra loan irutte tane, customer illa andre loan ellirutte. So this loan entity is completely dependent on the customer entity. That's why here the loan entity type is called as the weak entity. Okay, so how to identify a weak entity? The very basic thing to identify a weak entity is just examine whether that entity has a key attribute or not. If the entity does not have a key attribute, then we can consider that as a weak entity. Okay, see, let's take another example. Here we are having employee works for department. Employee works for department. Okay, so here many employee works for one department, right? And here this is works for relationship. This is W, works for relationship. Employee works for department. See here how to identify a strong entity and weak entity. See here in the department, do we have a key attribute to identify a department? Yes, we have a department number. Key attributes are represented by this underline. Okay, when you write the attribute name and underline that name, that means that is a key attribute. Okay, like this. Okay, so here department has a key attribute. That means even though this employee does not exist, this department exists, right? So here this is a strong entity. Okay, whereas see here in the same relationship, employee works for department. See here this is department is a strong entity because even though employee does not exist, department exists. Okay, so this is a strong entity. Okay, and here let's talk about the employee. Whether employee is a strong entity or weak entity. Think. See here, employee has a key attribute, employee number, in order to identify each employee uniquely, right? So here department irli bidli employee irutta, employee records will be there, right? Even if that department does not exist, we can shift the employee to another department, right? So here this employee has employee number. That means employee entity type has key attribute. That means this is also a strong entity. This is also a strong entity. Okay, so here in this relationship there is no weak entity. Understood? Okay, so here in this customer, let's write the same thing in a instance diagram. Customer, customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, and here loan, loan 1, loan 2. Assume customer 1 has taken 2 loans, and here customer 2 and customer 3 has not taken any loan. Okay, and here this L1 and L2 total participation from this side, partial participation from this side. Okay, see in the single diagram we can discuss each and everything. We can talk about cardinality ratio, we can talk about participation constraints, we can talk about the weak entity and strong entity. Let me write it clearly. This is a person, customer, customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, and here loan 1, loan 2. Assume customer 1 has taken 2 loans. Okay. What if no customer has taken the loan? Then what happens? This itself does not exist, right? So that's why this is a weak entity. Even though there is a bank exist, customer exist, account exist, in order to this loan existence, the customer must take loan, right? This is based on some action. So that's why here this is a weak entity. Okay, and this does not have a key attribute or primary key. Okay, so here this is a weak entity and customer is a strong entity. Okay, I think you have understood what is weak entity and what is a strong entity. See here we have used underline for customer ID. That means this is a key attribute. Okay, and here I have used dotted lines for loan name. Okay, and here double rectangle. See, this weak entity is represented using double rectangle. Okay, and this is a weak relationship. That's why this is represented using double diamond symbol. Okay, so this completes today's session. So today we have discussed what is participation constraint. There are two types, total participation and partial participation, and the entity type, that is strong entity and weak entity. So these are all the references. Do join with me for the next session. Thank you, students.